The Vault series, an iconic testament to humanity's desperate bid for survival. These were formidable subterranean shelters created by the Vault-Tec Corporation under the US government's directive. While presented as sanctuaries for preserving a chosen slice of the American populace in the aftermath of nuclear devastation, most vaults harbored a darker truth. Beyond the rare exceptions known as control vaults, these shelters were, in reality, clandestine laboratories, social experiments shrouded in secrecy. After all, who could challenge the pursuit of so-called progress, even when it demanded the most unsettling sacrifices in the name of science?
Likely event arise that the planet is laid to waste, you'll feel happy knowing your family will be safe in a Vault-Tec vault.
Although the term vault has many meanings, such as bank vault, barrel vault, ribbed vault, gothic vault, well, you get the picture. It was trademarked by Vault-Tec to refer to the particular brand of shelter, and thus was capitalized because this is the land of the free, the brave, and the corporate profits. The origins of the Vault network trace back to the turbulent early 2050s, a time marked by the Euro-Middle Eastern War, the devastating new plague, and the disintegration of the United Nations, events that sent waves of fear through the nation. In response, Project Safehouse was initiated in 2054, a monumental defense project designed to construct shelters capable of safeguarding the populace against nuclear warfare or widespread disease. Advanced construction methods enabled the rapid creation of these colossal bunkers, unmatched in their scale and ambition. However, it's crucial to distinguish these vaults from the Series 1000 shelters or the models seen in Fallout 76. Unlike long-term sanctuaries, Series 1000 shelters were built for brief survival periods, or, in my opinion, a poor man's solution for temporary safety.
It's unjust to leave people to die. Nobody is left behind. Vault-Tec offers several above-ground options for the less fortunate, including Plan D for those too lazy to inherit any wealth at all. Also, if your heart breaks for the poor, why are there 3 huge cars parked outside your mansion?
Interestingly, the blueprint of the Series 1000 design even found a second life as a layout for Vault 15 in Fallout 2. The impoverished government was forced to finance a project with junk bonds, and even then, only 122 vaults were ever commissioned.
We have over 100 vaults spread across America,
allowing less than 0.1% of the population to save their life in the event of the Holocaust. The sheer costs of a single vault are staggering. For example, the intended budget for Vault 13 was $400 billion, and by the end of its construction, the total cost reached $645 billion, well over 150% of the initial figure, which is reminiscent of modern-day Department of Defense spending if you've ever looked into that.
As a cornerstone of national defense efforts, much of the Vault-Tec project was heavily classified, safeguarded under the new amended Espionage Act. This new legislation was enacted by Congress to replace the Espionage Act of 1970 within Title 50 of the US Code. This act empowered the US government and law enforcement agencies with enhanced measures to suppress interference, preventing insubordination during military options, and curbing aid to enemy forces on American soil. Ironically, while it fortified national security protocols, it also opened up the door to misuse, fueling instances of embezzlement and corruption. The Vault-Tec Societal Preservation Program boasted staggering statistics, claiming an improbable failure rate of 1.7 million to 1. Yet the reality was starkly different, as evidenced by the scarcity of surviving vault dwellers depicted in the Fallout universe, unmasking the hollow promises behind the numbers.
Knowing that our impenetrable vault doors can withstand a direct hit by an atomic bomb with only a projected 2% failure rate.
Following the success of Vault-Tec Corporation's demonstration vault, built near the headquarters of Los Angeles at the time, the company won the bid for constructing the shelters. The building of the shelters proceeded rapidly, and most were completed by 2063. The construction of several vaults, however, was delayed, particularly Vault 13, which only started construction in August 2063, and the network surrounding Washington, D.C. Some were also delayed due to work stoppage, such as Vault 108, where a terminal equipment issuance entry notes that, "We are aware that the steam whistle is only sufficient to power this project partially. Please do not file any further reports on this issue." Ongoing emergency drills in completed shelters slowly created a cry wolf effect, Turnouts for the drills fell as the years went on, further limiting the Vault's role in ensuring the survival of humanity. Additional problems were caused by consistent mismanagement, corruption, and embezzlement that seemed to define Project Safehouse before the war, alluding to a failed capitalistic society in which America was destined to cross. Yet for all these problems, Vault-Tec was able to create a number of miracle technologies and develop shelters that really protected the inhabitants, as long as they worked properly. Vault-Tec even advertised vaults in newly annexed Canada, though these were in the early stages of completion, and this is known because of the Public Relations Department in DC, who wrote a letter to their safety-conscious citizen with the end of the note stating, "For a full list of the Vault-Tec facilities with available accommodations in exciting locales such as Oklahoma and newly annexed Canada, contact your local Vault-Tec representative. Vault-Tec wishes you and your family the best of luck in the uncertain future." Though an uncertain future is a light way of labeling the inevitable, it was also a tremendous success for the company, allowing it to expand its headquarters to Washington, D.C., and even sponsor a large exposition at the Museum of Technology in the capital, designed to promote their shelters and explain their functionality. Promotional tours and awarding of prizes like the Pressed Vault Suit Award, which was given to Vault 12 for preparedness, were also used to promote a positive image of the company, regardless of the numerous problems associated with it, hinting at a propagandized success, which is a common theme throughout the Fallout series.
Contrary to what its demonstration vaults would claim, the vaults were not meant to save humanity in general. The entire program was hijacked by a national conspiracy involving human experimentation overseen by what would become the Enclave. Project Safehouse was subverted for its own ends, and this was proven through an official Fallout webcomic written by Jerry Hawkins titled "One Man and a Crate of Puppets," where the comic follows the life of the sole inhabitant of Vault 77 and his crate of hand puppets and mentions, quote, "The Vault experiments were never designed to rescue the people that lived inside them. They were a vast social experiment designed to study pre-selected segments of the population," end quote. I'm not going to say what authoritarian regime these experiments remind me of, but if you think about World War II, I'm sure you would come to find scientific atrocities in that war that are reminiscent of this social experiment. However, rather than act to save humanity directly, vaults were built to test their population as part of the societal preservation program. According to the Fallout Bible, what may be suitable for planting in the present may not be suitable in 20 years. This is especially true, I would think, in the Fallout universe with its rather unstable ecosystem. I mean, if one really wanted to be certain that one was planting would grow, the best thing to do would be to collect the seeds, spores, etc. from already growing food sources. These have a guaranteed fertilization rate. After all those corn seeds that were put in the GEC 50 years ago now have not sufficiently mutated to endure the new wasteland, even in a normal ecosystem, the only strains of plant that survive are those that mutate. And to summarize that passage, one can only know the definitive truth of an experiment so long as they experiment.
Science rules.
Indeed, the Enclave did just that. The program was basically a vast data gathering exercise to provide the Enclave with the info necessary to construct a multi-generational starship that would take a select group of people, or the best and the brightest, off-world to colonize new worlds, rather than try to restore the Earth. Enclave projections assumed the worst possible outcome. Global thermonuclear war renders Earth completely uninhabitable. Outside of the Enclave, this information was privy to only select Vault-Tec personnel, mostly overseers, and high-ranking members of the military-industrial complex, such as the leadership of Big Mountain. But because we have YouTube, we are blessed with this knowledge outside of the military-industrial complex due to a video blog by Tim Kaine and the true purpose of vaults in Fallout vid he dropped last year. As such, all vaults were designed to feed data to the Enclave, akin to Google feeding your data to algorithms to sell you products. Of the 122 public vaults constructed, only 17 were designed to function as true control vaults, operating as intended to provide baseline data. The remaining 105 vaults were set up with various experimental scenarios, ranging from inconvenient to fatally dangerous, to observe human behavior and resilience under extreme conditions. These experiments included shortages of essential supplies like food synthesizers, populations comprised exclusively of men, or early forced openings. Such unique setups were meant to gather crucial data for the Enclave's long-term space colonization project, determining how to support human life through centuries of cryonic stasis and creating closed ecosystems that could sustain generations of crew members. Even Vault 13, which appeared to be a control vault, was secretly tasked with pushing the limits of Vault-Tec's technology lifespan. While experimenting on unwitting human subjects raises significant ethical concerns, the data collected held the potential to inform and save countless future lives. Vault-Tec itself didn't simply act as an intermediary, it used the shelters to create technologies that could be used to redefine society even if the Starship project fell through. An entire vault was set aside to act as proving grounds intended to test a variety of prototype devices with the aim of rolling them out through the rest of the vaults. Once Vault 88 was fully operational, the company expected to roll out new devices every fiscal quarter. Unlike other vaults, Vault-Tec would send test subjects before any disaster scenario, starting in early 2078. Human lives were considered irrelevant, with quick iteration time given a priority. The prototypes were meant to convert useless exercises into a socially useful activity, manipulate the moods of the dwellers, or even develop crude forms of mind control. Ethical concerns were dismissed as counterproductive and closed-minded. On October 23, 2077, the Great War came. The Vault-Tec air raid sirens blared, but the cry wolf effect resulted in few people going into the shelters because, again, these drills were done so often at this point that many would-be inhabitants rolled their eyes at this. They were sealed and the experiments entered their decisive phase. The control vaults functioned as intended and protected their populations. Others were not so lucky. Within the next few decades, many shelters would fail as a result of these experiments. The few that did survive would often prosper. In 2091, after receiving the all-clear signal, Vault 8 opened and Vault City was founded. A year later, the demonstration vault in the ruins of Los Angeles opened. The inhabitants eventually founded what became known as a boneyard. Years later, Vault 15 opened. While a large portion of the vault inhabitants that left the overcrowded vault would band into raider tribes by the winter of 2097, marking the beginning of the Khans, Vipers, and Jackals, the remaining vault dwellers would found Shady Sands in spring. The town used the Gek well. No one expected that these humble beginnings would eventually culminate in the formation of the mighty new California Republic known as the NCR by 2189. While ostensibly built for protection, there was of course a darker side to the vaults. They ensured the containment of their populations, vulnerable to exploitation by those with unethical motives. This dark reality came to light in 2155 when the Master's forces captured a caravan of dwellers from the LA Vault. Seizing this opportunity, the Master discovered the vault's location and transformed it into his base of operations. His ambitions didn't stop there. Upon learning of other nearby vaults, he deemed their inhabitants ideal for his grand project. The super mutants under his command began sweeping the region, intensifying the output of the Mariposa vats and expanding their numbers through relentless experimentation. 80 years later, vaults would serve another nefarious purpose, as the Enclave, the architects of the original experimentation program, raided Vault 13 on March 6, 2242. The inhabitants were taken to the oil rig so that the inoculation rendering humans immune to the FEV-based toxin could be tested. The circle of life thus continues between ethically questionable choices made by the Enclave and then shedding light on these choices to engage players down the conspiracy-ridden rabbit holes, which are often true in the Fallout series. By the late 23rd century, very few functional Vault series shelters remained. The only known vaults that still maintain societies composed of the original dwellers and or their descendants are Vault 101, circa 2277, Vault 81 and Vault 118, 2287, and Vault 4 and Vault 33, 2296. Some other vaults have kept their original experimentation functions ongoing, such as Vault 112, 2277, and Vault 31, 2296. While many vaults have been repurposed by outside factions as strongholds or in the case of Vault 21, a hotel.
How in the hell were these pillars of American ingenuity constructed? Let's get into it. A typical vault was constructed deep underground in geologically stable regions, often nestled within mountain ranges, such as Vault 113, or isolated areas distant from the population centers like Vault 106. Yet some vaults, such as Vault 12, later known as the post-war ghoul settlement of Necropolis, were built beneath modern city foundations to withstand the catastrophic effects of nuclear detonations. Vault-Tec's proprietary S technology, safety, survivability, and sanitation was central to ensuring maximum comfort without sacrificing safety. This ingenuity praised the Museum of Technology for its contributions. The vault's resilience stemmed from their reinforced concrete and solid metal sheeting, but their true protective power lay in the immense volume of earth above them. Vault 13, for example, was insulated by 3.2 million tons of soil at a depth of 200 feet or 60 meters. while Vault 88 benefited from Quincy's granite deposits, illustrating how meticulously the Enclave selected sites to optimize natural protection and structural security. The entrance was controlled by the iconic vault blast door, which you may have seen once or twice, and an airlock. The vault doors have projected 2% failure rate in the case of a direct hit by a nuclear missile. Allegedly. I mean, almost every statistic we've received of safety at this point was nothing more than a promised pipe dream. The only shelter hit by a nuclear weapon is Vault 87, and the blast damage to the door was beyond repair. Some featured additional protective measures, such as an additional external blast door and reinforced access corridor, like Vault 8. Or they were accessed vertically through an elevator inside a protective dome that caused the blast wave to sweep over the dome and leave the vault door intact, as is the case with Vault 111. Regardless of the presence of these measures, all entry points into a shelter were overpressurized to keep contaminants out, rightfully so. Vault construction methods evolved significantly as Vault-Tec refined its expertise in building these massive underground sanctuaries. Initially, the first vaults were constructed using then current technologies, incorporating prefabricated components, poured concrete, and modular machinery. The demonstration vault in Los Angeles set a benchmark for early California vaults, employing technology typical of military and industrial projects, such as nuclear reactors and secure bunkers. Over time, Vault-Tec developed specialized technologies, making vaults increasingly modular. These new vaults were assembled from entire prefabricated sections, manufactured to specifications and then constructed on-site, optimizing building efficiency. Many second-generation vaults combine both traditional and modern construction techniques, while fully next-generation vaults, such as those in Boston and Appalachia, utilized entirely prefabricated sections with integrated infrastructure and amenities, significantly cutting down construction times. By 2077, Vault-Tec could rapidly construct vaults, especially in areas where natural or artificial features such as stable cave networks or underground tunnels permitted it. For example, the stability of Quincy's granite quarries and the ground allowed extensive excavation operations, creating a network of natural and artificial caves. After reinforcement, these caves were connected to a temporary railroad that rapidly delivered all the necessary prefabrications, construction equipment, and other necessities. Although I would say the Enclave never ceased to impress me. The developers at Bethesda are the real heroes of this story, as they clearly have done their homework in this subject matter. In order to power the entire installation, vaults were provided with a variety of power sources, depending on local geology and the actual size of the vault, with the average being approximately 220 dwellers. The largest of them, like Vault 13, required 3.98 megawatts per day for continued operations for its 1,000 occupants, which was housed in a hot bunking system, which also meant it could house double the amount of traditional vault occupants. In order to meet the demand, the shelter used a geothermal power plant as a primary source, with General Atomic's nuclear power as a backup, and these only aided to the benefits vaults had because remember, infrastructure for vaults are designed for durability, but also for convenience. The extensive power supply of vaults was essential to the support of sophisticated systems required for the survival of its inhabitants. Vital to this were their advanced air filtration systems that kept the atmosphere breathable, even before considering the risk of contamination. Vaults also featured hydro-agricultural farms and food synthesizers to provide continuous sustenance, along with water purification systems capable of processing waste to produce up to 15,000 gallons of drinkable water daily for 250,000 hours without output degradation. Amenities included a vault-wide intranet granting instant access to entertainment, social, and educational content from any terminal. Disposal systems such as incinerators for deceased individuals and waste were standard. Security within vaults were reinforced by heavy-duty sealable doors and comprehensive surveillance via Ion-U cameras. A centralized computer system, often a ZAC series supercomputer, seen notably in Vault 51, oversaw all operations. Prominent technology brands within the vaults included Brainpower and Think Machine.
All of the systems were reported to function without failure for nearly 900 years according to Vault 101's PA system.
Did you know Vault-Tec water and life support systems can sustain a vault for over 900 years without failure?
Though the uneven quality of components would prove this claim untrue. For example, the water chips were manufactured by a low-bid contractor, resulting in poor quality and a high failure rate. Such was the case with Vault 13 in 2161, exacerbated by the fact that the process was too complicated for a workaround system. For the resettlement of the surface, the shelters were provided with complete construction equipment and pre-selected installations received 1 or 2 GECs, intended to help the inhabitants create a viable civilization in the post-nuclear world after the all-clear signal is sent according to Vault 101's terminal entries from Dr. Stanislaus Braun, and I hope I said his name right. And if you received the GEC, you were kosher for time and all eternity, as it was the most advanced piece of technology ever developed by Vault-Tec, because it was a terraforming module capable of creating life from complete lifelessness. In fact, Vault-Tec even sold me on the dream when they mentioned it could create new Earth and Paradise, where craters and dust would give way to rolling grasslands and sparkling clear water. Doesn't sound half bad. If you've made it this far, congratulations, as you now know more about the origins of vaults, their use cases, and their ever-growing complexities compared to the other 99% of the world. With an education of Vault-Tec science, what is your take? Did the Enclave have merit in their expansion of boundaries in the name of science? Or were they overly ambitious and neglectful in their original mission to preserve human lives? Remember guys, enjoy time is never wasted time, and we'll see you in the next.